So welcome back students in this series of MERN technology. Now in the previous module we have discussed about Node.js routing, Node.js server, how to create HTTP server, how to handle HTTP request, how to send a response to the client and many other topics regarding to the Node.js. Now in this series we'll discuss about now what is Express.js. So Express is a web framework of Node.js. So you can assume Express as a layer of built on the top of Node.js that helps manage a server and routes. So for example, you are building a website. So you have two things, one is the front end and one is the back end. So with the help of Node.js, you can easily maintain the back end part. But what about the front end part? You also have to maintain your HTML files, your CSS files, your JavaScript files. You have to maintain the routing of each button, each click, that when a user submit a form, what will happen, which database is used. So all this part is very complicated in simple Node.js. Now for that we have to use a framework. So Express.js helps us in that. So Express.js will gives us a MVC approach, which is model view controller approach. Now in MVC approach we have three main components. One is model, second is view, the third is component. Models basically stands for the database. So the database we are using, whether it is MySQL, whether it is Firebase, whether it is MongoDB, whether it is any other kind of HDSQL, any other kind of database, that particular database is known as model in the MVC approach. So we have a separate file that handles the database part of the application. Now then we have model view. The second thing is view. The view is basically the topmost layer of the application, which user can directly interact with. A view can consist of simple HTML based application or a simple website that is defined with HTML and CSS. So you can create a view with any technology that you want, but that is the topmost layer of the application. So we have model, that is database, then we have view, that is the HTML CSS part or the designing part, front end part. Then we have the controller, that is basically designed in the Node.js with the help of Express module. So the controller part is basically responsible for controlling all the application or all the small components in the application. So the controller is responsible for getting some kind of data from the view and sending that data to the database, or we can say the model part of. So the controller is the central unit of the complete application. So this architecture basically simplifies the web development part for you. So using that MVC architecture, using the Express.js, you can easily create websites and manage their state, properties and routing part very easily with the help of Express.js. Now let's see the installation process of Express.js, how to install Express and how to use Express. So using and installing Express.js is very easy. You just have to write down a single line. So let me show you. Let's open our Visual Studio Code. Now in the Visual Studio Code, let me just create a new folder for the Express.js part. In the same folder, we'll also create the project. So that will help. So in the desktop, let me create a folder name as my web project. Let's save this. Now in the Visual Studio Code, let me open that folder, open folder, and from the desktop, I'll open that folder. So from the desktop, now in this folder, let me create a sample file and let's name this index.js, which is the most suitable name for this. Now I want to create a Express application. I want to create an application in this folder. So for that we have to install Express first of all. So let me open the PowerShell and write down npm install global express. So the global express is installed. Now in this directory we'll have to install npm install express. Say downloaded this module. Now let's do one thing. Let's create a simple Express application to test whether the Express is installed or not. So for that, let's write down where Express equals to require. So as you know, require is essential while you are importing something, equals to require Express. Now let's create an application. To create an application, we have to write down where app is just an object. You can name it as anything else. So equals to Express. So with the help of object that we have created for the Express, we have created an app over here. Now with this app, let me create a routing. So I'll create app.get. So this get is basically the HTTP method by which the client is sending the request to this particular server. So in the previous node module, we have discussed that a client can send the request with the help of get, with the help of post, with the help of put, pass, delete. So we have so many HTTP methods. In this case, we are using this get. So if the client sends the request with the help of get method, then this routing will invoke. For that, now let's write down the routing. So slash is basically the default routing for every website. You can make it like slash You can click first page, or you can click second page, or you can write down test page, just like we have done the routing part in the React component. So in that we have downloaded the React module for the routing part, and then we have started the routing component. So we have to put the default routing for this. So after that we'll pass a callback function to handle the output. So when a client sends the request to the server, we have two things. One is request and one is response. The request is to accept the parameters, to accept the data from the server, and response is to send some kind of data in return to the server. Now we have to define that function. Now in this define that function, we have to response.send. So in Node, we simply write down response.write or response.end. But in Express, we write down response.send. We'll write down welcome to my website. So this is just simple text file which we have returned to the client, we can say. Now, so we have created an app of Express.js. We have created a routing for that. After creating this apps, let's write down .listen. So it will listen to a port, let's say 8088. So 8088 is the port that this particular application will listen. Now let's execute this with again node index file. So now our server is working fine. Now let's test this and send a localhost request for the 8080 port. Now let me open this and I'll write down localhost 8088. Now when I click on this, so we are getting the output, welcome to my website. So this is the basic example how to install Express.js and how to create a basic application with the help of Express.js. So that's all for this video. In the next video, we'll discuss about this request and the response object. So thank you for watching this video.